Yeah. Okay. Masechet Bava Kama Daf Nun Vav Amud Aleph. This year's Leilu Nishmas of Imoyri Menachem Ben Akiva Sor Bas Moshe Ula Refuas Noach Lionel Ben Yulia Oriya Ula Refuas Yudis Bas Rivka Ula Refuas Moshe Ben Esther Edel Hoshea Ben Esther Edel
and
Shmuel
Avraham
Ben Yehudis. Besach Shachol Yisod. Nifretz Balayla Oy Shepatzu Listim. Bava Kamen and Bava Amud Aleph. Yeah, a few lines before the end of the Amud, the narrow lines. You have two dots. Nifretz Balayla Oy Shepatzu Listim. We spoke in the Mishnah about what happened if a behema, sheep or goat, could also be a cow, were left in the pen where the animals are, in the deer is like the pen, the corral, and then they got out of there unexpectedly. Nifretz balayla, it was broken into at night, right? Or thieves broke into, or it broke what? The fence, the wall, and then the behema came out and it damaged other people's fields. What can you do? Nothing. You're honest. You kept it properly. You guarded it, and that's good enough. And you're potter. Says the Gemara, Omer Raba, says Raba. Raba is making a statement on that Mishnah. Says Raba, Vehu shechoto. That is only true. Is making qualification. It's only true if the behema actually dug like a tunnel under the ground, like the Palestinians. Yeah, he dug a tunnel under the ground and managed to get from the other side. Dug a hole like a pit and managed its way out of the pen, of the closure. Okay, only then the person is potur. Only then the person is potur if the wall broke. Says the Gemara, what? Well, what's the connection? Ava loy chosro. Let's say it did not actually dig its way out. My chayev, then he should be chayev. Then it should be chayev if the animal just got out. Echidami. What's the story exactly? Let's say it was a good wall. Let's say the wall was healthy, meaning stable, good. And then somehow, I don't know how, the animal got out because the wall broke. Then kiloi chosro, let's say the animal did not dig a tunnel, just the wall broke. Then am I chayiv? Why is he chayiv? Why are you telling me? Why are you insinuating, Rabba, that the owner is chayiv? My havel al meibad. What should he have done? What could he have done? Mahavil al meibad. He can't do anything because it's a good wall, and the wall broke unexpectedly. I don't know how it broke. I don't know. Earthquake. So what do you want the person to do? And what does digging have to do with anything? Ela must be what? Bekoisel ra'ua. First wide line. Nun vav amud aleph. Bekoisel ra'ua. It's a shaky wall. It was a shaky bakey. It was a shaky, unstable wall. And therefore, when the animal got out, then he's potur. Says the Gemara, wait a second. Why? Ki chosro amay potur. When the animal dug its way out, why is the person potur? Now, let me explain something. This person, before we continue, an animal digging a hole or a tunnel and coming out on the other side, that's very unexpected. That's like completely coming from left field. That's coming through the back door. That's unexpected. If the animal starts digging holes and getting completely avoiding the wall, if it's a healthy wall, that's called oinus. It's unexpected. True. On the other hand, to leave a behema in a place where the wall is shaky or the door lock is not so good, that's not oinus. That's called pshia. No, pshia. Groma doesn't belong here anyways because it's not nezik. It's guarding an animal. It's pshia. So now you're portraying here a case. That's what the Gemara is now sort of like zooming in on. You're portraying a case in which the person to begin with was a shlemazel. The person to begin with kept her in a pen which was unstable, unsafe, right? And then eventually, the unexpected happened. And all of a sudden, actually, the wall stayed fine. The wall stayed nice and firm, or as firm as it was. But the animal dug its way out. That is a classical case of chilosa bepshia v'soife be'oines. That's a sugya which we've seen before, and it's a sugya which we will see Meretz Hashem in Bava Metzia. What does it mean chilosa bepshia v'soife be'oines? Let's say a person started off not guarding something properly. He's a poshea. I'll say it nicer because people ask me whenever there's a new term to say it slower so you can sip it in, ingest it. Chilosoi bepshia. The beginning was negligence. V'soifoi, but the end of the story, the final cause of the problem was the oinus, was unexpected and out of his control. I'll tell you a story. Story time. Story from Bava Metzia Daf Mem Beis or Mem Aleph from the Aleph in the bottom of the page. There's a story there, a very famous story. Tzrifa de Uvani. A person had the sum of money to look after. In other words, he was deposited the sum of money to look after the Shomer. And where did he guard it? Where did he put it? In the forest, in a faraway place. So that was very smart because thieves usually they don't look in the forest, yeah? Okay, maybe in Forest Hills, but not in the forest, not in the forest out of town. Yeah, because people don't live there, and therefore they kept it in a tzrifa de uvani, in a hut made out of arava, of willow. Okay, so there, okay, that place is safe from ganovim, but it's very flammable. Yeah, it can burn very easily. Yeah, the whole area, forests tend to burn all over the world. Yeah, more than other places. And the fire department is not so quick over there. So he guarded it over there. And then what happened? People, they stole it. Unexpected happened. Instead of this burning, it was stolen by thieves. The thieves actually found that place at Tzrifat Ubani. So that's Tchilosoi Bepshia. He started off being Poshea negligence because he kept it in a place which is not fireproof, very, very not fireproof. But then the danger came from unexpected direction. Instead of burning, it was stolen from. So that's called Chiloso B'Pshia V'Sofe Boinus. In other words, he was wrong in A, but at the end of the day, the danger came from B. Get it? In other words, it was unsafe in one area, but the result was, the bad result was O. So now the Gemara is saying, wait, that's exactly the case over here. And the halacha is regarding Chiloso B'Pshia V'Sofe Boinus. Let me surprise you. It's a machloikas. In the Gemara, at least, it's a machloikas. So now let's go back to our first wide line of Nun Bava with Aleph Bava Kama. The Gemara, if the animal dug its way out, which is, unexpected, amai potu. Why is he exempt? The Mishnah says exempt. Right? He started off being negligent because he guarded it in a place it's not real guarding. It's pshia. This is actually what? Negligence, to leave it in a pen, in a cowshed or pen which is unsafe. But the end was oinus for the animal to make a whole tunnel. Wow, that's Palestinian. That's we didn't know that's going to happen. So now, and you're saying potur. Oh, okay. That's very nice. According to the one that says that the danger in X, which at the end of the day became Y, then your potur, then our Mishnah is very nice and very good. The one who says that if you start being negligent and then at the end an oinus came from the other direction, you're chayev, and there is such an opinion, what would he say? There couldn't be an Amoiro arguing in the Mishnah. And the way you, Rabbi, interpret the Mishnah comes out to be against 50% of the opinions of the Amoroim. How could that be? Therefore, the Gemara wants to change course. Ella, masnisin bekoisel bori ba'afilu lo yichoso. Says the Gemara, no. Really, the first part of the Mishnah of an animal coming out of a wall that was broken unexpectedly is bekoisel bori. The wall was a good wall. The person was a good man, responsible, and completely unexpectedly, it broke. Something happened. Maybe people came, maybe thieves came and broke it. Some thugs came and broke it. Unexpected. Leave the chosro alone. The animal did not dig anything, no tunnels, no shmanos. It's a regular, classical, a case of oinus. He did everything within his possibility. I mean, shmira me'ula, but not super me'ula. Good shmira, as we said a few days ago. And the animal did not dig out, and it's oinus. What about Rabba's statements? As you say in English, it's not such a nice statement to say about the Mishnah. Yeah, you pin the tail on the donkey, right? Like this game. That sometimes there's an Amoroic statement, and we want to connect it, if not to this one part of the Mishnah, to the other part of the Mishnah. Now continues the Gemara. V'chi itmar de Rabba, that statement of Rabba, which is still now hanging in the air, which statement of Rabba? that spoke about the animal digging its way out of the pen, aseifa itmar. The statement of Raba, which does not belong in the Reisha, because we're in trouble now, that statement we now have to pin it, to connect it to the Seifa. What's a Seifa? Don't worry, we're going to see. What does it say in the Seifa of our very, very same Mishnah? It says in the Seifa, Henicha b'chama, the person left the animal in the sun, even in a shade, excuse me, even in a cow shed, even in a closed area, but without awning, without a roof, yeah? It's closed, but the sun is hitting it on the back, yeah? It's actually, the sun is there. But he gave it to one of the people who are mentally incapable of looking after animals or themselves. The animal got out of the pen because it was too hot over there. So it managed its way out. Or from some odd reason, the little 10 years old didn't look after the animal so well. Now the animal is out. The person is chayav. What's the chiddush? Omar Rabba, now we are connecting Rabba's piece and we're pasting it over here. You know, cut and paste? That's mamish cut and paste. We cut Rabba's statement from the Reisha. We cut it. Now it's on the mouse in the cloud. Now we paste it to the Seifa of the Mishnah. Omar Rabba, ve'afilu choto. Even if the animal dug its way out of the pen, which was hot and sticky and intolerable, the animal dug its way out, which is oines, which is, whoa, unexpected. I didn't know she's so intelligent. Even then, the person is chayav, which means, what's the big chiddush? Lami ba, the Gemara elaborates on that. Lami ba echad eloi chosro. If the animal did not actually dig its way out, the kula b'pshio. Let's say the animal just broke the whole thing. It's all pshia, either because it's too hot or because the little kid of 10 just can't control the big cow. So that's one straight pshia through and through. It's your negligence which directly caused the animal to go out. Ela filuchoso. The chiddush is, even if the animal did such a crazy out of line thing to dig the tunnel out, even that is a chiddush. What's the chiddush? Filuchoso nami. One would say, listen, wait a second, says the person in Beis Din when they blame him for not looking after the animal. I started off, but pshia, it's true, it was wrong of me to put it in a place that wasn't so comfortable for the animal, because you know the animal doesn't like the sun or under the auspices of the shoiter. But at the end, it was honest to say that the animal is going to get out and make a tunnel. Oh, that's honest. Hey, and our opinions will hold also. So maybe there is a reason to pater, maybe there's a reason to exempt, to be mitigating. Kamash Malano, the kula pshia. Wow. This is a story of pshia. For the animal to dig a hole out is expected. It's not honest, it's classical, through and through pshia. From the moment you started until the end, it's all the same pshia. My timer. Why? The person who was damaged, that the animal ate his fruit, can say, Meida Yodat, you should know, as the person who works with animals, the kevnish vakta b'chama, because you leave the animal in the sun and it's intolerable, it just can't take the sun. Call tatzdik the isa lemebad of the venafka. Any kind of tachbulois, any kind of trick it's going to do in order to get out. In other words, you put an animal in a hot place, which the animal cannot take, cannot stand. Mimela, this is like Tammuz Av, Eretz Yisrael, hitting nice on the head, no air condition. So such a situation invites the danger of the animal doing anything to get out of that situation. So it's not called oines. For an animal who's in a matzav of so, not the best, but not the worst, to dig a hole, dig a tunnel, and find its way out, pshia, I wouldn't imagine such a thing an animal would have done. And then you can call it maybe oines, and then it's a question. But if you leave it in the pen when it's really, really hot and the sun is hitting on the head and glaring and it's all, really hot, I'm seeing in such a situation, anything done by the animal is expected. And therefore, it's not chilasa b'pshia v'sofa bonus. It's chilasa b'pshia v'sofa b'pshia. It's all one long pshia. It's all one continuum. It's all in the same spectrum, on the same line. And the animal for sure is going to do something and therefore it's called one long pshia, and that is the chiddush of Raba. That's what Raba meant to say. Yeah, living the nechama, and the animal was choister. That's Raba's statement. The animal coming out from the tunnel, that's considered the pshia through and through, because the animal will do anything and everything within its power to get out of that situation. Question time. Tea time. Tea time. Yes, list. I think it was first. I'm sorry. Yeah. Otzio listim. Yeah. We said that if the listim took it out, the listim are chayev. In other words, listim are the robbers, the thieves. They got the animal out of the pen in the middle of the night or even the middle of the day. Listim are actually not scared of anybody. And what? And now they, the ones that took it out, they are chayev. They're chayev of what? Not just to return the animal, that's for sure. What are the chayev on? Topic of the Mishnah. What's the story in our Mishnah, by the way? I hope everyone remembers. The story of the Mishnah is the animal went out and ate at a nice supper. It's all very nice that it ate, but the supper belongs to the neighbor. It had a very nice, I don't know, expensive kiwi or passion fruit or top grade grapes of the neighbor. Now, who's going to pay the neighbor for the grapes? Who's going to pay? The listim. Says the Gemara Pshita. Of course, the listim have to pay. We mentioned in the Mishnah because now they became responsible. Leave responsible alone on all these fancy words. Which means once the thieves actually did take it out, and when they pulled it out, how's it called in Hebrew to pull out? It's called meshicha. Meshicha is what? Is a kinyan. Everybody is great. Meshicha is one of the classical kinyonim of if you want to acquire a behema, let's say goat, how do you do it? Do meshicha. You pull the behema with a string or something, after you, and then the animal walks, either daladamis or much less, the animal walks behind you, and then you're koina. Tell me something, and this is good preparation for the next parak already, for the seventh parak. If a thief pulls an item or an animal out of someone's house, who does that belong to, the item? The ganav. He has to give it back. But now the ganav is the owner for all the bad things, which means now the ganav is the owner for that. Now it's his responsibility. It belongs to him. Not that it belongs to him, they will live in Hefkerveld. Belongs to him means that if anything will, let's say now there's a shinui, let's say there's a change in it, the kinyan plus the change makes it his, then now he has to return it. That's the whole sugya in the merubeh. But of course, once the ganovim pulled out the animal of the pen, now there's kinyan gezela. Kinyan gezela. Look at Rashi. Kevin the apkua. Ika meshicha. Look at the first Rashi in the page. There's meshicha. The shinui reshus. It changed domain. It changed hands. The haviknuya lechol mili. Now it completely belongs to the thief, which means he has to give it back because it says veheshivas exela asher gozal. But for all responsibilities, it's his. It's his responsibility because halachically now it belongs to him as the new owner, the new illegal owner, but nevertheless the owner. The whole mili for everything. So what are you telling me here, Chiddush, that the thieves took it out? It become that they're responsible. Of course, they're responsible. That's called kinyan meshicha, which is kinyan gzela through meshicha. What's the Chiddush? It's mefurish in many other places. And says the Gemara, loy tzricha. No, we do have to mention it. Tzricha. Why? The kamala ba'apa. We're nun vav amud beis in the second line of nun vav amud beis. The kamula be'apo. No. These thieves are smart. The Talmidei Chachamim. What did they do? Those thieves, the whole gang of them, they both stood on both sides of the animal. They didn't touch the animal. They stood on both sides, basically blocking the animal's ways, so the animal can't move to any direction. The only way the animal could have made, the only path paved for the animal is the beeline, direct line to the beautiful grapes of the neighbor. They want the animal to eat the grapes of the neighbor. They have some kind of very vicious system over there. Not sure what they want, but they want to make sure that the animal actually doesn't move anywhere else. The only direction the animal can go towards is the neighbor's nice supper table. That's what they want, and that's what they did. And therefore, that's a chiddush, because they didn't touch it. So they did not do kinyan meshicha. They didn't actually pull it. Only pulling physically, at this point, that's what we think at least, pulling physically is kinyan meshicha. They did not do that. They're smart. They're standing there like two sets of guards, and that's it. Like the oval after the basic forest, two lines of people, and that's it. And now they're chayiv. Ooh, that's a chiddush. And now if the animal came and ate the food of the other person, they are chayiv. Yad Omar Rabba Omar of Matna Omar Rav. Rabba on behalf of Matna b'shem Rav. Hamamid be'emes chavero al kamas chavero. A person who actually took his friend's animal and made it stand by a different person's. He took Reuven's animal, someone, his name is Shmerl. He took Reuven's animal and placed it, he pulled it and placed it right next to the food of Shimon. Chayiv, he's got to pay Shimon that he brought the animal to the water. He brought the horse into the water. He brought the animal to the food of Shimon. He has to pay Shimon. Of course, if he pulled the animal by a dime and he brought it to the food, of course he's chayiv. So what's the chiddush? Loi tzricha de kamel be'apo. The story over there is that the person didn't actually pull the animal by a dime. If Shimon somehow blocked the way of the Reuven, Shmerel blocked Reuven's animal's way. He blocked the way of the animal, that the animal has no other way except for finding at the end of the maze is only Shimon's food. He did not leave it any other possibility, even though it's a no-hands crime. Nevertheless, he's chayiv. Wow, that's a chiddush, right? It's not like what we said all the time. And we'll see that it's actually debatable whether it's called groma or not. We're going to see Tosfos soon. But in any event, what we want to say is as follows. Just like when a person, nobody here is a thief. Nobody is a thief and nobody stole anything. But when you actually cause the animal in such a direct way, relatively direct way, of not leaving the animal any other option except for standing by the food, and the animal is assumed to automatically eat the food, you're chayiv. Right? That's what the Gemara says. So too the thieves are chayiv. The thieves, they also want to steal the animal. They're smart, but they're not touching it. They're white-collar people. They're not touching the animal. They're causing the animal to move out, and the only thing that was there was the neighbor's grapes. Then they're chayiv. I'm asking a question, and I'm happy to see it in Tosfos. And the question is, we saw recently, actually on Thursday, if I'm not mistaken, in the big Groma page that we had, we saw that if, according to, actually it's a machlokas, but according to some opinions, we saw that if you put poison in front of an animal, and the animal chose, so to speak, to eat the poison, you're potter, because it's Groma, so why here do we say you're chayiv? So Tosfos asked the question, have a look at Tosfos. Tosfos Dibra Maschil. Tosfos. Amamid Bemes Chaveroi, in the middle of Amamid. It's a second wide line, third wide line, the second Tosfos in the page. Yeah. Tosfos explains why you chayiv in the third line. V'af al gav, the middle of Tosfos Amamid. Tosfos Amamid, in the middle of Tosfos, is asking v'af al gav. V'af al gav the patrina noisas amamoves lefnei bemes chaveroi. My question: you see that if you put poison in front of the animal chose to eat it, then we say it's a grama. What's the difference between over there and over here? Here too, I didn't feed the animal. I just placed it right next to the food. Two answers. Shiny hostam. There are two differences. Over there, by the poison, it's not likely for the animal to eat. Remember? One opinion, but the poison is it wasn't tasty poison, it was poison. So for the animal to eat poison, that usually the animal is guarded and not interested in the poison, very reserved about it. So if the animal did eat the poison, that's really unexpected. Then I can say it's a groma. Wow, the animal ate the poison. I really didn't expect it. I was doing a test in zoology. I didn't expect that the result's going to happen. The shaken over here for the animal to eat is normal. It's nice and fresh and good grapes. Or another answer, which means the animal shouldn't have eaten. Okay, the Maisa, he's saying because maybe we could say by the poison, we can say that the animal shouldn't have eaten it. I'm not sure over here it's different though, according to the second teretz. I didn't look into it. Over here, we don't say the animal is not expected to eat, but the poison we say the animal is expected not to eat. Tosfos also points out, and this is something even if this is happening in the street there's no chiyuv of shen v'regel. Remember? Let's say this whole scenario is not in someone's garden. Let's say I take Reuven's animal and I take it to the market where it's open, to the open air market, yeah, on the floor They have boxes with food, like in many places in the world, and I tell the animal, go ahead, gesundheit, have a nice supper from someone else's grocery, from someone else's vegetables. So even though it's in Shus Rabim, you're still chayiv, because bringing the animal there is a ma'aseh b'yadayim. When my animal goes by itself, I say, when the animal goes by itself, I'm not responsible. That's gomo. The Torah says shen v'regel am chayiv. In the street, there's no shen v'regel. But if I actually brought the animal to the place b'yadayim, and I sort of said, no, go ahead, and encouraged the animal to eat, that's called like me taking someone else's gun and shooting. That's already something else. It's not a regular shen v'regel. It's a ma'aseh b'yadayim, because I'm actually bringing the animal with my own bare hands. This is a different story, and then shen v'regel would be chayiv even in the street. Okay, it's ma'aseh b'yadayim. That's what it says in Halacha. Amar Raba and Rav Yosef. However, Abai says to Rav Yosef a different answer. He's reminding him of a different answer that he had. Ekisha Omar Tlan. You told us regarding the case of the standing on both sides and letting the animal eat. Rav Yosef really did not agree that this is called a ma'aseh b'yadayim. He said, no, the only reason you chayiv is if you hit the animal, like sometimes they hit animals in the back in order to cajole them to walk. Ekisha Omar Tlan, you told us, unlike what we said now, that if you just block the animal's way and you make it stand there indirectly without touching it, you're not chayiv. Oh, Baruch Hashem. And that's what it says in Halacha. Why? That's gromeh. Back to normal. You know why you chayiv over there? You hit the animal, and the chiddush is, even though you didn't pull it, you didn't pull it, but you hit it, and that caused the animal to walk. Hitting is in between. It's between pulling, right, and between blocking the way. You're touching it, you're hitting it, but you're not pulling it. The chiddush is, even if you hit it, and that therefore you caused it to walk, you sort of you cajoled it to walk. That's called enough ma'aseh b'yadayim, that if the animal was brought to the food, it's called that you took it and you made it eat and you chayiv on the food. The listim namidi kishua. In our case, also in the case of the listim that took it out of the pen, it's true that they did not stand on both sides. That enachanami would not be mechayiv them, according to Rav Yosef. If you only stand on both sides, it's not called direct enough. We are regretting what we just said in the middle of the sugya. Really, if they stood on both sides, at least lefi sam rishonim, lefi the Shulchan Aruch Rama, you stood on both sides, you potter. But if you actually hit it, the chiddush is that hitting it is like pulling. Also for kinyan, which means there are two nafkaminas. If you hit the animal, it's as if you pulled it. So what? If you're ganev and you're trying to acquire the behema, and it's called kinyan gzela, just like pulling is a kinyan, so to hitting in the back is also a kinyan. It's considered as pulling. It's mamish pulling. It's a different form of meshicha. Even more, or the more so, it says in Kiddushin and Bava, even if you called it, you make those noises that make the animal move, like to the horses, they said, to go like this. Yeah, that's what they tell us. Yeah, you got to pull the animal by vocally, making it move. That's also called Mashiach. Anything that makes it move. Yeah, Masha'enken, to stand on both sides, not giving it the other options, according to Rabbi Yosef, would not be called Kinyan Mashiach. The same thing applies also regarding a person who's not a Ganev. He just wants the animal to eat someone else's food. He's not interested in the animal. He's an animal lover. He sees the Reuven's animal being hungry. Instead of feeding it from his own food, he feeds it Shimon's food. Yeah. So now he took it to Shimon's vegetable store. So then either he pulled it or he hit it in the back so it should move. Both ways, that's called bringing it to the food, and then the person will be chayiv on the animal eating. As opposed to by the poison. Poison is unexpected. Poison is a different story. Yes. It's not written. So. Moso leroye. Next piece of the Mishnah. Moso leroye nichnas roye tachtov. It says that if a person was supposed to look after the animal, gave it to the roye, you know what roye is, right? To the shepherd, then the shepherd is now chayiv. Says the Gemara, what's going on over here? What do you mean? The shepherd becomes responsible. Amri, tacht of the man, instead of who? It says he became instead of, in lieu of who? Ilay matachtav the Baal Behema. If you want to tell me that the Baal Behema, the owner of the Behema, gave it to what? To a roye, yeah, to someone else, to a proper shomer, and now the shomer, the roye, the roim are always shomerim. It's a professional person who knows how to deal with the animals, yeah, is a shepherd. And if the Baal Bayis gave it over to the shepherd becomes chai because of the shomer. Frag the Gemara, that's not a chiddush. We know that already. Tnina chada zimna. It's outright mefurish in Daf Mem Daled. It says over there, Mosloi l'shomer chinam. If the owner gave his animal to a shomer chinam, l'shoyel, l'nesasocha, l'soicha, Anav Koch to translate, for shomerim, how you doing? All four shomerim, kula nichnesu tachas habaylim. They all became responsible instead of the baylim. I am now giving full responsibility to you, Mr. Shomer chinam shocher chinam socher shoyel soicha. You're responsible instead of me. So what's the chiddush? Of course that now the shomer becomes instead of the baylim. Ela, tacht of the shomer. Aha, no. We're talking here that the baylim gave it to the shomer, and the shomer gave it to a different shomer. That's called in Chinese shomer shemosar leshomer. Daf Yud Aleph. The shomer kama iftar legamre. Aham. That's already a question. You're telling me that if he, the first shomer, not the owner, the first shomer, possibly a paid person, yeah, gave it to a different shomer, then the second one, the one who actually caught with the baby in arms, yeah, the one who's actually, it happened under him, he is chayiv, and the first shomer is caught free, is completely potter. Is that so? Frag the Gemara, very good reaction. Yeah, but here we seems like yes. That's a question why. We learn not like that. It's a question on Rove. Although it was a machloekes actually in the base, but you remember very nicely, a shomer shemasel l'shomer is chayiv, and that's halacha. One shomer gave over to the other. Well, I'm trusting you. I trust Yitzchok, and Yitzchok gives it to Shmerel. I'm saying Yitzchok, why do you give it to Shmerel? You're a trustworthy guy. Make me tea every morning. So nice. I trust Yitzchok. I don't trust Shmerel. Even if you're chinam and Shmerel is sacher, I don't trust him. Maybe he'll swear l'sheker. Maybe he's going to lie to me. I don't know. I wanted it by you. It should be by you, not by anybody else, right? And you're now saying otherwise. You're saying that if the first shomer gave it to the other one, the first one is potu. Why is it potu? Amar lecha Rava. Don't get excited. Rava has a good answer. My mesor l'roye. You know what mesor l'roye means? You know what it means mesor l'roye? LeBarzilei. He sent it to his talmid. Barzilei letalmidoi. The shomer gave it to his apprentice, I would call it. Yeah, apprentice. The one who's studying, who's on the job. What? Oh, the Hechsher of Art Scroll in English. Oh, what can be better than that? Yeah, he gave it to his apprentice, and that's different. Why? The urche, the roye, lemimsa lebarzilei. It's normal and accepted. It's normal, for the roye to give it to his talmid. You know that he is like an agency. Yeah, you go, like I gave the example, happens a lot. You know, the woman gets upset. She gave her prized shetl for her son's wedding to Prince Aveida with magic hands. But Prince Aveida, the shetl macher with the magic touch, has 5 other shetl machers under her. And everybody knows that she gives it over to them. Everybody knows she's not the only one. So unless it's specified otherwise, you can't complain. Why was my shetl done? Not by Prince Aveida, but by Tochter Bracha. No, like, you know, that's the dumb thing. And you know it. People know it in general. Therefore, here too, if the shomer gave it to Barzilei, to Roya, another Roya, that is normal. Yeah, that's the way it's done. He's like an agency. He's like a boss. He has other people working under him. And therefore, that's the way it works. So now, Mimela, the first one would not be chayev, the head, the boss, the CEO of Roya.com is not chayev. The one chayev is the little shomer it was given to. I don't mean little under bar mitzvah. I mean the regular minor one. Okay, very good. Ikadamri. Now some say, "B'diktani mosro leroye velo iktani." And by the way, I just want to point out. Oh, not yet. Now I want to say something. It's not yet the right time. We're in the first wide line. What? Yeah. Some say, "B'diktani mosro leroye velo iktani mosro leacher." Oh, some people say, look. The lotion of the Mishnah is meduyak. It's precise. It says he gave it to a roye. Doesn't say gave it to another person, just any other person. Shmamino. That is to say, my moso leroye, moso roye lebarzile. In other words, because it says in the Mishnah that he gave it over to a shepherd, didn't give it over to another person, unprofessional. He gave it to a professional roye. That probably means the Talmud. In other words, Prince Abela didn't give it to an amateur. She didn't give it to Stam, a girl 16 who was learning Shetel Machin. She gave it to another professional. That's good. So you see the Mishnah is actually meduyak, like what we said before. We see that the Mishnah specified it's dafka the roye who was given to, and therefore the first person who gave it to the roye is potu. In this case, the CEO of the Shmira gave it to another person, to another professional person working under him, or somebody that he works with, like an agency. Mashma, that Lu Yitzuyer gave it to who? To a different strange person, unprofessional, stam, a guy from the street, which nobody works with, not a professional shepherd. Then no, then the achrayus would be on who? Would be on the shepherd. I gave it to a professional shepherd. You give it to some clots to a computer programmer who has no idea about how to shepherd animals. Mapitom. Then who would be chayev? The first guy. Lema misayele lerove. That is to say, probably, according to this reading, our Mishnah helps Rava. Our Mishnah is actually assisting and asserting what Rava said. You get how we flip from one side to the other? At the beginning, at the first version, before the Ikadamri, before Jeff wanted to say something, at the first stage we said the Mishnah was a challenge against Rava. And then we said, no, the Mishnah is good with Rava. He gave it over to a professional, it's good. But if he gave it over to some yachts, any guy from the street, then we say, Mapitom. Then you're chayiv. Shomer shomosel l'shomer chayiv. So now the Gemara changes colors and says, no, forget. Maybe our Mishnah that says Barzile says Roye means Barzile, means Dafka is Talmud. Mashma that if you gave it over to a regular person, he's chayiv, the first one. It's irresponsible of the first guy to do it, to the CEO. Mashma, this is supporting Rava. Says the Gemara, no, don't get excited the other direction either. Amri, loy, no, that's not true either. Don't get too far. Don't get drawn to the other direction either. Dilma urcha demil sektani. Maybe the Mishnah said Roye, it didn't come to teach me any halacha. It just came to teach me nothing, to tell me the normal way. Like I sometimes use examples which are not miduyak, they're just normal. That's a normal way. Usually give it to a Roye. But huadin le'acher, maybe anachanami, even if you gave it to a person who's unprofessional, you'd still be potu. Let me summarize. I'm not so sure if you understood what's going on here. This is a very, very, very classical Gemara that explains to you how there are always three options when an Amoira faces a Mishnah, an unfriendly Mishnah for the Amoira. There are always three options. Yeah, either the Mishnah is against the Amoira, tough luck, right? Or the Mishnah supports the Amoira, yay! Or the Mishnah is parav, can be read to any direction. Rava here made a statement long time ago, Yudalef Amud base, I think. And by the way, it was machlokes between Rava and Rav Ashi, I think. Yeah, Yudalef Amud base. Let me. I'm not so quick on the draw. There was Rava against Ula. Ula, by the way, over there said Shomer Shmasel Shomer Potu. Yeah. If one Shomer gave to another Shomer, which is not connected to Potu. Rava says Chayiv. I trust you and only you. The Gemara started off by trying to challenge Rava. Brother, you seem to be wrong. Why? Because our Mishnah says that if one Shomer gave to another Shomer, the strange Shomer, then what do we say? The other Shomer is Chayiv, but the first one, the one I gave to, the one I put the responsibility on, is Potu. That's against Rava. Then says the Gemara, no, look, oh, no, it says Roye. It says in our Mishnah that the second person given to, yeah, I gave it to guy number one and he gave it to guy number two. Guy number two is a professional who works with him and they have normal working relationship. That's like the Shetel Macher, the head girl there, and she has 5 women under her. So now it says, Barzile, oh, very nice. Now the Gemara wanted to change course and turn it the other way around and reread the Mishnah and say the Mishnah supports Rava. Because if the Mishnah says Roye, That is to say, only if he gave it to the roye, then he's potur. One professional given to another professional with normal working relationship. Oh, then he's potur. Mashma, if he gave it to stam a guy in the street unexpected, then he's chayiv. That supports Rava. Says the Gemara, no. Don't get that excited either. We're not sure. We're not. The Mishnah is not against Rava, but the Mishnah is not meduyuk to be pro Rava either. The Mishnah is really in the middle. Why? Because maybe when the Mishnah said roya, it didn't mean to say only roya is potur, but a regular guy is chayiv like Rava. Maybe the Mishnah spoke about roya because that's a normal thing. Usually, people looking after animals are people who know about animals. Yeah, a guy sits and learns all day long. Yeah, doesn't know how to look after an animal. Neither a doctor, lawyer, or architect. Most of us don't know how to look after a sheep, as far as they know. Yeah, barely manage a horse, let alone sheep. Yeah. So Mimela what? Mimela, we say that the Mishnah is not against Rava. The Mishnah is not pro Rava. The Mishnah can be read either way. And therefore, the Mishnah is sort of not harmful for Rava, but not supporting him either. That happens many times in the Gemara, and many times people don't chop it. Because many times the Gemara wants to give support to somebody, the Gemara rejects the support. So people say it's a question. It's not a question. Just because there's no support doesn't mean it's against him. It remains paras. No danger. The Mishnah is now safe. Rava has no danger from the Mishnah. The Mishnah can be read like Rava, can be read not like Rava. Either the Mishnah dafka meant a roye, that's good with Rava, or the Mishnah meant any Joe Shmo, and that's against Rava. But we don't know. We're okay either way. Okay? That's how it works. Yes, Ellen. Yeah. Itma. Famous question here in Elu Metzias and here also. Okay. Shomer Itma. Shomer Aveida. Nun Vava Amud base towards the bottom of the page. Shomer Aveida. A person has to look after an Aveida. A person has to look after a lost object. He found an object in the street, and it says Vasaftoi El Toich Beisecha. You have to bring it, gather it, bring it into your house, and you look after it until until you find the owner of the lost object. It could either be an animal. You have a rooster running around, yeah, like the famous story from Tainis. Okay, or you can have what? You can have a rug, and you need to clean the rug every once in a while. Shomer Aveida. Raba Omer ki Shomer chinam dami. Raba says the status of a Shomer Aveida is like a Shomer chinam. Nobody's paying me. I'm doing this for free for the mitzvah. Nobody's paying me, so I'm a Shomer chinam, and I have a status of Shomer chinam. Yeah, to all applications. Rav Yosef Amar ki Shomer socho dami. Rav Yosef says is a Shomer socho. A person looking after a lost object is a Shomer socho, even though it doesn't get paid nothing. Why is that? Rabba Omar ki Shomer chinam dami. Is a Shomer chinam. Why? My hano kamotile. Which physical, monetary hano, which benefit does he have? Mati. Which hano is coming to him? Nothing. Big sachar in olam haba. But that's not called Shomer Sachar. It's a Shomer Chinam. So therefore, Shomer Chinam is what? Tell me what the loch is about Shomer Chinam regarding Gneva Aveida. Oines? Patu. He only is chayv on what? Pshia. Very good. He's chayv on Pshia. Chayv on Pshia. And that's it. Fine. He's a Shomer Chinam. Rav Yosef Omar. Rav Yosef surprises us. Kishomer Sachar dami. Ba'ia no de lo bai lemitzvi le rifta le'anya. The person is gaining money from looking after the Aveida. You know why? Did it ever happen to you that you sit and you have supper in Ramat B'Shemesh or in London, New York, and there's a person knocking on the door because he wants tzedakah? Never happened to you. I know, never ever happened. Did it happen to you? Yeah? In South Africa only. So then, yeah, the guy, yeah, he knocks on the door and he's about to marry his 15th child. And now what? And usually you get off the supper table, you give him a few shekels, maybe give him more, I don't know. And then if you look after the animal, if you happen to be in the back door, in the backyard, looking after Lucy, the lost cow, or whatever, Dolly, the lost sheep, then at that very same time, you don't have to answer the door. So you saved money. You're looking after the Aveida. Once you look after the Aveida, let's say it's a rug. I don't know, in American Israel, it used to be a very common thing. People used to clean the rugs by hitting them. You know what I mean? There was like a special with a big, funny shaped thing, to hit the rugs before Pesach, because they always used to see it all over the place. Yeah. So let's say in the middle of Lidfok Shatiach, you're hitting the rug to clean it, and that rug is not yours. I'm really doing it just for the mitzvah. to keep the maintenance of the lost object, because I want it to stay nice for the owner. And that's a very, very nice mitzvah of me to do. At that very same time, I'm saving that heart, the tear jerking story of the guy at the door. I'm saved from listening to it and for giving him $10 or 10 shekels or 20 shekels or 50 shekels. Yeah, so I'm saving money. Shomer Socher, because it says in Sukkah Chafei, everybody knows, and also in Kiddushin somewhere, I think, Apo Oisek b'mitzvah, it's in Baruch, Oisek b'mitzvah, Potter from the mitzvah. When I'm doing one mitzvah, I'm Potter from the other. I don't have to answer the door. Yeah, so because I'm doing a mitzvah right now. If so, Mimele is a Shomer Socher. That's it. Okay, that's Raba does not see it as Socher. Raba doesn't view that as direct Socher for whichever reason. We can learn why tomorrow, not today. But Rav Yosef says that's called Socher. That indirect saving money, yeah, you're saving money, so to speak, because you are sometimes dealing with the animal. Mimele, you call the Shomer Socher. By the way, Tosfos points out, yeah, it's Machlokes Rishonim, but Tosfos points out it's only while you're dealing with the animal or the rug or the whatever, or doing laundry to his thing, that you're potter from the tzedakah, but it doesn't give you, you're not exempt from tzedakah the entire 6 months, let's say, that the object is by you. Yeah, it's only while you're actually dealing with the object. But since you sometimes deal with it, you sometimes save money. 1 out of 4 whatever knocking on your door, you're potter from giving him $10, $20. That's sachar according to Rav Yosef. Well, the Rabbi doesn't see that as sachar for whichever reason, which we'll discuss. Okay. Some people explained it differently. Rav Yosef Omar, Kishomer Socher Dami. Rav Yosef views it as the Shomer Socher, and that's something a bit harder to understand. Because the Torah forces you to be a shomer, it's not up to you, mister. If you keep halacha, and you should, obviously, yeah, then it says, it's a command, it's an imperative. You actually have to look after the object lost by your friend. Mimela, you are a shomer socher. So now, one way of explaining this is that why is a shomer socher more responsible, or should be more responsible than a shomer chinam? Shomer chinam is doing a favor. Shomer chinam, he took responsibility. I'm sorry. He is responsible because he assumed responsibility, but he's doing you a favor. So unless a shomer socher is a posheya, is clearly negligent, it doesn't have to be super professional regarding it, because it says, excuse me, don't start asking me too many questions, this and that. I'm doing you a favor at the end of the day. You went to your nice vacation in the Alps for 2 weeks, and I had to look after your parrot. Say thank you. If I was real pasha, then I'm chayiv. But anything less than pasha and potter, say thank you and leave me alone. Mashenkin, if the Torah was mechayiv you, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is the one who said you have to guard it. You're not doing a favor. You're mechuyev to do it. So maybe Mimela, that guarding of the object which is lost, that could be called Shomer Socher because of the mere fact that it's your responsibility, because the Torah told you have to. You're not doing a favor because you're volunteering and you have that volunteering thing. I'm volunteering, tell me thank you. No, Hashem told you to do that. We are still continuing for 3 more minutes. But first is a question. Okay. Simon, now you may ask, what does that question have to do with our sugya? Now we're going to see the connection between Raba and Rav Yosef and our sugya. Simon, these are simonim. Yeah, these are basically the words that are the preface. Yeah, each word here is keywords. Thank you very much. You always have the right keywords. Keywords for the next few questions. Now Rav Yosef wants to prove that he's right to Raba, questioning him from what? From the next statement. What did Rav Yosef say again? Rav Yosef says socho, and Raba says chinam. You can remember Yosef socho, samech and sin. Yep. Echzira. It says about the Shomer Aveida, echzira lemokam shir eno. Let's say you lost an object. Let's say Alan lost his goat. Yeah, you lost your goat. Yeah, or sheep. What can you do? And then I gave it back, not into your house. I'm too lazy to go up the. Which floor do you live in? Which flat? Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, no, I found it. It's fine. Don't cry. I found it. I don't have courage to walk up all the stairs up to your house. I left it right outside your building, let's say. in a place where you can easily see it. Or let's say you live in a private house, yeah, and you see the goat. In other words, I did not return the goat to your actual domain, to the indoor inside of your house. I brought the animal back to a place where you can easily see it and collect it from there. I wouldn't like to see it's a street, because the street is a different question. People can take it. Not even his own private chotzer. That's a chiddush. Let's say it's a quiet area. Let's say you live in a quiet Yale. Let's say you're an owner of a nice big house in Nachal Yale. It's a very quiet street as far as I remember. Yeah, and not many people walk around there. I left Billy the goat outside the nice fancy house, and the person can very easily see it. So what do we say? I, as the finder, don't have to take care of it anymore, which means as far as I'm concerned, I can, as you would say, check the box. How do you say tick the box? What? Tick the box. Okay, thank you. I can tick the box and finished, and I'm good. In other words, I don't have to return it to your very own private place. If I put it in a place where it's very available to you, will be seen by you easily, that's good enough for me. Okay, that's the beginning of the brisa. If it got lost or stolen, then me, as the Shomer, I'm chayv in achrayus. Okay, maybe we should continue tomorrow already. It's 10:21. We finished the Amud. Thank you very much. Atzlocha, see you tomorrow. And Chanukah, as far as I'm concerned, is the date is a week to increase Torah, not to have less Torah,